dream it all. Listen close and join my song. Gentle stories all night long. Snuggle in and rest your head. Magic dreams will now be spread. Close your eyes so calm and bright. Now begins our dream. Begins our dream tonight.
Lulu and the Garden of Windborne Wishes. Evening light stretched gently across the hills, painting the world in soft shades of peach and lavender. Lulu walked along a winding path, her wool catching the last warm rays of the day. The air felt different tonight, not still, not quiet, but expectant, like the world was holding its breath for something gentle. As she reached the top of a grassy rise, she gasped softly. Below her lay a hidden valley, a secret garden filled with thousands of floating feathers, each one glowing faintly with its own soft color. They drifted just above the ground, trembling in a breeze that wasn't strong enough to lift them. Some were silver, some pale gold, some soft blue, like morning shadows. But all of them looked heavy. Lulu stepped closer, and a nearby feather shivered as though it wanted to rise, but sank again with a tiny sigh. "A garden of wishes," Lulu whispered. A voice answered gently from behind the tall grass. "They're supposed to fly." Lulu turned. A large deer stepped into view, but not an ordinary deer. His fur moved like soft wind, shifting in ripples even though the air was calm. His tall antlers glowed with swirling currents of pale blue light, and his eyes were warm, quiet, and sky-colored. "I am Zephyr," he said softly, "keeper of the Windborne wishes." Lulu bowed her head. "I'm Lulu. What's wrong with the feathers?" Zephyr sighed, and even his breath sounded like a breeze brushing across leaves. "They are wishes carried by the wind. When a wish is ready, it becomes light enough to rise and drift into the sky." He looked around at the heavy feathers. "But lately, none of them will fly." Lulu touched one carefully. It hummed beneath her hoof, a soft, sad sound. Just then, something tiny fluttered past Lulu's nose in a swirl of shimmering dust. "Ah, wait, oh no, I lost the blue one again." A tiny feather-like creature zipped around in loops before bumping gently into Zephyr's leg. She floated back, bright and embarrassed. She looked like a single delicate feather brought to life, softly glowing, translucent, with tiny wings that flickered like warm wind. "I'm Kiri," she squeaked, brushing dust off her tiny face. "I was supposed to guide the lightest wishes, but I can't remember which ones they were." Zephyr gave her a kind look. You're doing your best. Carrie landed lightly on Lulu's head, curling herself into Lulu's wool like a tiny nest. These wishes are sad, she whispered. They feel too heavy to rise, like they're stuck. Lulu nodded slowly. Maybe they're waiting for someone to listen. Zephyr blinked, surprised. Listen? Lulu touched another feather wish, and it trembled softly. I hear it. It's not a word, but a feeling. Zephyr's wind fur rippled. A wish that isn't heard cannot be released. Carrie twirled anxiously. Then we should listen. We should listen to all of them. Zephyr smiled gently. We will, but there's one feather that is heavier than all the rest, the first wish, deep in the center of the garden. And the wind refuses to lift it. Lulu felt a calm determination warm in her chest. Then let's find it, she said softly, and help it feel light again. The feathers around them shivered, a garden full of quiet hope, as the evening light faded into early night, and the first soft stars blinked awake above. The deeper Lulu, Zephyr, and Carrie walked into the secret garden, the quieter the world became. Not silent, but filled with a soft, trembling hush, like thousands of feathers holding their breaths. The wishes drifted gently above the grass, glowing in pale shades that felt almost shy. Every time Lulu passed one, it brushed her wool with a tiny hum. Carrie fluttered anxiously from feather to feather. This one feels worried. Oh, and this one feels lonely. And this one feels like it's waiting for someone who never came back. Zephyr nodded sadly, his wind fur rippling. Emotion weighs more than wind can lift. A wish sometimes becomes heavy when the heart behind it tried too hard or not enough. Lulu touched a feather that shimmered soft blue. It trembled under her hoof. A tiny whisper drifted from it. I hope they still remember me. Carrie clutched her small hands to her chest. That wish is so sad. Zephyr closed his eyes. We must be gentle. Wishes are fragile when they forget they matter. The path through the garden curved gently, leading toward a small circular clearing where feathers drifted in a slow spiral as if orbiting something at the center. The air here felt thicker, a little cooler, and the feathers glowed with deeper shades, silver, dusk purple, and soft twilight gold. Carrie fluttered nervously. This is where the older wishes stay, the ones that haven't flown in a long, long time. Lulu stepped into the circle. At the very center hovered a single feather, larger than the rest, glowing with muted silver light. But unlike the others, it did not drift. It hung heavy, unmoving, close to the ground. A wish that had forgotten how to float. Zephyr bowed his head. The first wish of this garden. Carrie floated behind Lulu as if hiding. It scares me a little. It feels so. She shivered. So full. Lulu approached the first wish slowly. Her wool brushed the soft grass. The feather pulsed once, faintly. Then again, as if sensing her presence. Lulu whispered, "Can you hear me?" The feather glowed. Not bright, but aware. Zephyr stepped closer. Touch it gently. It will only speak if someone listens without fear. Lulu laid her forehead against the soft silver surface. At first, nothing. Then, a whisper. Not a child's wish. Not a playful dream. But something older, deeper. I wished not for myself, but for someone else. Lulu's breath caught. Carrie hovered closer. What did it say? Lulu swallowed softly. It wished for someone else's happiness. The feather trembled with old longing. I wished they would find light even if I could not. Zephyr closed his eyes, pain flickering across his features. A selfless wish, pure and heavy. Lulu felt the ache inside the silver feather, an old hurt, full of quiet sacrifice. But why didn't it rise? She asked gently. The feather answered in a soft, breaking whisper. Because I was afraid they never knew that my wish was for them. Carrie covered her little mouth, tears sparkling like falling dust. It's a wish made of love, but also sorrow. Zephyr stepped forward, his wind antlers glowing faintly. This wish must be released. If it remains unspoken, the garden will forever struggle to lift the others. Lulu pressed her cheek to the feather, warm and gentle. You don't have to carry this alone anymore. The silver glow brightened, just a little, enough to show it was listening. Carrie landed lightly on Lulu's head. We're here. We can hear you now. The feather trembled once more, as if preparing to reveal its true weight. Lulu whispered, I'm here. Tell me everything. The first wish pulsed, full of quiet courage, ready to finally speak. The first wish glowed faintly beneath Lulu's cheek, its silver light trembling like an old memory trying to surface. The entire garden seemed to lean inward, every feather, every whisper waiting. Kiri crouched low in Lulu's wool, tiny hands over her heart. Zephyr stood still as stone, wind weaving quietly around his legs. Lulu spoke softly. "I'm listening." The feather pulsed once, twice. Then a voice rose from within, thin at first, like someone remembering how to speak after a long silence. "I wished for their joy, even when it meant letting go." Lulu's breath warmed the soft silver. "You loved someone," she whispered. The feather flickered. "Yes." Zephyr lowered his head respectfully. Even the wind around him quieted. Kiri's small voice trembled. "But wishing for someone else's happiness, isn't that a beautiful thing?" The feather glowed, but dimly, with sadness beneath the warmth. Beautiful, yes, but it was also lonely. Lulu felt the ache deep inside it, a feeling she knew well. Loving quietly, hoping silently, carrying a wish without expecting anything in return. She pressed her cheek closer. "You didn't want anything for yourself, did you?" The feather's voice thinned. "Only to stay beside them just long enough to see them smile again." A soft, fragile note escaped the feather, a sign made of light. Zephyr walked closer, his hooves barely touching the ground. "That kind of wish becomes heavy," he murmured. "It carries love and loss together." The first wish flickered harder now, a gentle glow fighting through the weight of its own story. "I never told them. They never knew. I stayed awake every night, hoping they found peace." Kiri's wings drooped. "Oh, that's why it can't rise. It held everything inside." Lulu closed her eyes. When we hide feelings inside ourselves, they grow heavier. Even wishes can't fly when they're carrying too much. The feather trembled violently now, not from fear, but from release. "I wish that they would never feel alone." Lulu's voice softened to a warm whisper. "You carried that wish for so long." The feather flickered again. "Because I could not be their sunlight, but I wanted to be their wind." Zephyr inhaled deeply at that, wind catching in his chest. "A wish that tries to be both presence and absence," he said gently. "Yes, that kind of wish becomes impossible to lift alone." Lulu wrapped her small body around the feather, holding it like the fragile heart it was. "You don't need to hide anymore," she whispered. "You're not alone now." Kiri flew forward, resting her tiny hands on the feather's edge. "And we heard you, truly heard you. Your wish isn't forgotten." Finally, the feather pulsed with a warm silver glow. A brightness that felt like a long-held breath exhaled. Thank you, thank you, thank you for hearing me. Light spilled outward in soft waves. The other feathers in the garden responded, each glowing a little brighter, as though relieved that the oldest wish had finally let out its sorrow. But Zephyr's eyes narrowed gently. "This is not the end," he murmured. "The first wish has remembered its truth, but it has not yet chosen to rise." Lulu stroked the feather's surface with gentle warmth. "What do you still need?" she asked. The feather glowed faintly, softer now, not heavy, but uncertain. "I need someone to tell me that letting go is not the same as forgetting." Lulu's heart tightened, because she understood so deeply. She breathed soft warmth onto the silver. "It isn't forgetting," she whispered. "It's allowing yourself to fly." Carrie nodded through tears. "And we'll carry your memory with us." The first wish brightened, a glow like starlight in early dusk. It trembled once more, gathering its courage. Because the next part would be its last. The first wish hovered before Lulu, glowing softly, its silver light trembling like breath caught between hope and fear. All around them, the other feather wishes drifted in quiet orbits, waiting not impatiently, but gently, as though they understood this moment belonged only to the oldest wish. Zephyr stood tall, his windlit antlers glowing like pale streams of dawn. Carrie floated close to Lulu's cheek, tiny hands pressed to her heart-shaped chest. Lulu lowered her head until her forehead touched the first wish again. "It's okay," she whispered. "You don't have to rise yet. Just tell us what you still feel." The feather flickered. Not dimly this time, but with confusion. "If I rise, will they forget me?" Carrie's eyes welled with tiny shimmering tears. "Oh, it's afraid of vanishing." Zephyr stepped forward, his voice a warm, moving breeze. "You are not forgotten simply because your task is complete. A wish is remembered through those it touched, not through the weight it carries." The feather pulsed, uncertain. Lulu spoke softly, her wool brushing the silver glow. "You stayed here because you loved them. You stayed because you hoped for their light. And they carried that light even if they never knew where it came from." The feather's glow warmed. "But if I let go, will I still matter?" Lulu nodded gently. "You will matter because you existed. Because you wished for love, not for yourself, but for another. Letting go doesn't erase you." She breathed softly on the feather. "It frees you." Carrie fluttered over and landed right on the feather's surface, the tiny feather girl folding herself around the bigger feather like a fragile hug. "We won't forget you," she whispered shakily. "I'll carry your glow inside me. I promise." The first wish trembled, this time with something new. Not sorrow, not fear, but relief. "I am ready." The garden inhaled. Every feather lifted a fraction higher. Zephyr stepped back, giving the wish room. "Then rise," he said gently. "If not for them, then for yourself." The first wish brightened into full silver, its glow stretching upward like a soft beam of moonlight. The wind stirred, swirling around the feather. Carrie flew up beside Lulu, voice full of wonder. "It's happening." Slowly, hesitantly, the feather lifted off the ground. Lulu smiled softly. "You're flying." The wish rose higher, glowing warmer, brighter. And then, in a single, quiet burst, it dissolved into pure silver light. A soft wave of warm wind swept across the garden. The heavy feathers in the valley lightened instantly, lifting higher, drifting with ease, their whispers turning hopeful. Carrie gasped, twirling with joy. It worked. It really worked. Zephyr bowed his head respectfully. The garden breathes again. But Lulu wasn't looking at the other wishes. She looked upward, at the small silver trail left behind by the first wish. A trail that shimmered like a memory finally at peace. Lulu whispered, "Goodbye, and thank you for your light." The trail faded gently into the darkening sky. The garden sighed with wind and warmth. But Zephyr's gaze shifted toward the farthest part of the valley. "There is still one more thing," he said softly. "Because when the first wish rises..." Carrie hovered behind him, suddenly anxious. "A new wish is born," Zephyr finished. "And we must help it find its place." Lulu's eyes warmed. "Then let's go to it." The garden glowed with gentle silver light as the first wish faded into the sky. Feathers drifted softly upward, lighter than they had been in so many nights, their whispers warm and full of hope. For the first time since entering the valley, Lulu felt the wind breathe freely, calm, steady, alive. Zephyr lifted his head, his wind antlers shimmering faintly. "The first wish has risen," he said in a low, reverent voice. "And so a new wish forms." Carrie fluttered excitedly around Lulu's ear. "A new one? A brand new wish? Oh, they're tiny when they're born, like sparkles." Lulu smiled softly. Where will it appear? Zephyr turned toward the farthest corner of the garden, a quiet space where the grass bowed gently, as though something unseen was passing over it. There, he whispered, where the wind first learned to carry dreams. Together they walked through the soft carpet of feathers, each one drifting happily out of their way. At the far end of the valley, something glowed no larger than a dewdrop. A tiny flicker, a trembling shimmer of pale gold. It wasn't a feather yet. It was a seed of a wish, a small orb of light pulsing like a heartbeat learning its rhythm. Carrie gasped in delight. Oh, it's so little and so bright. Zephyr knelt beside it, lowering his great antlers with reverence. A newborn wish, he murmured, fragile as breath, but full of promise. The orb trembled as Lulu approached, almost shy, almost curious. She leaned down, letting her warm wool brush the soft golden glow. Immediately, a whisper rose from inside. Quiet, gentle, unsure. I want to be heard. Lulu's heart fluttered. Carrie fluttered beside the orb, spinning in tiny circles. That's a sweet wish. It wants to be heard, not for itself, but so it can become something real. Zephyr nodded. All wishes begin with a longing, but they need someone to acknowledge them, or else they stay small forever. Lulu smiled warmly. Then, I hear you, she whispered to the tiny light. I hear you. The orb brightened, glowing brighter than any feather in the garden. It rose slightly from the ground, hovering like a tiny sun. Carrie squeaked with excitement. It's growing. The light stretched upward, lengthening smoothly, gently, then folded outward into delicate strands. And with one soft breath of wind, it unfurled into a small, glowing feather of pale gold. A new wish. Soft, hopeful, ready to learn the sky. Zephyr's voice warmed. It has taken its shape. Lulu pressed her nose gently against it. What do you wish for? She asked softly. The feather pulsed, a tiny heartbeat of gold. And then, in a voice barely there, it whispered, I wish to bring light back to someone who forgot their own. Lulu felt her chest warm. That's a beautiful wish. Carrie twirled joyfully in the air. It'll fly so high someday. I'll help guide it. Zephyr smiled, a slow, peaceful smile. And because the first wish finally rose, This one will not need to carry sorrow, only hope. The garden around them blossomed with soft wind. Feathers rose gracefully, drifting into the sky like a quiet celebration. The newborn wish floated upward between Zephyr's antlers, carried by the gentlest breeze. Lulu watched it rise, her wool glowing faintly in the warm evening air. And when it finally drifted into the open sky, it left behind a tiny trail of gold. A reminder that even the smallest wishes can shine for the whole world. Kiri landed in Lulu's wool, snuggling close. "You helped it grow," she whispered. "You always help wishes find their wings." Lulu smiled softly at the glowing valley below. "No wish should be alone," she said gently. "Not even the very first one." And as the evening wind brushed through the peaceful garden, the valley whispered back, "Thank you for listening."
Now it's quiet, night is near. Drift away through stars so clear. Lulu whispers soft and bright, sleep so well and good night. Sweetest dreams will softly flow. Lulu stays with you, you know, till we meet again, my dear. Let your dreams keep drawing near. Till we meet again, my dear. Let your dreams keep drawing.